been telling me all day that I need to hang on to my hat for this talk. He says he's going to be flying. It's going to be the fastest 53 minutes in science and cancer curing you have ever heard in your entire life. So we raised the house lights so everybody can take great notes. And without further ado, Dr. Howard Fisher. You guys can applaud. It's okay.
A couple hang around. Hi there. How are you? Sorry Moore couldn't make it, but you know what? You might be in for a treat. You might not. It might be really boring for you, but let's start off with, I'm going to try to put this all together for you. And it's not going to be easy because it's the science of wellness. And the science of wellness, as soon as we get this changer working. So let's start out here with, you don't know what you don't know. I mean, and that's just as simple as it goes. It's, you don't know. So how do you deal with situations that are foreign to you? How do you actually go about, especially in life for everything that is, to deal with it? So let's give an example of what parameters you're dealing with. So when I happened to be in India with my family, and we were in Udaipur, and my son goes, Dad, can you come in and help me make this bargain? We want this clothing. And I go, sure, no problem. So I go into the store and I negotiate, and then we get the deal we want. And my son goes, Dad, I think you cut the deal too low. Can I have a couple hundred more rupees? And I say, sure. So I give him a couple of more rupees, and I walk out of the store onto the street, and suddenly, anybody been to India? There's a bull coming up the street. You know the rules with cows and bulls? They rule. You don't. And it's right in my path, and it goes like this. And it's coming right at me. So, you know what you're supposed to do, right? Let it gore you. You don't know what you don't know. That's what you're supposed to do. So I didn't know that. So I'm grabbing the bull by the horns, literally, and trying to go through the Rolodex in my brain. Now what do I do? Because you don't know what you don't know. So I seem to remember a rodeo shot. Oh yeah, they take down the bull by trying to twist, and this is not a small animal, trying to find that point of play in the neck and bring it down. Well, guess what? It's not as easy as it looks, and you don't know what you don't know. So suddenly, all the shopkeepers are out, and they're screaming at me, because I'm supposed to be gored by the bull. Right? So, but in all the noise they made, the bull goes like this. So I go like this and spin around, and the bull goes down the street. My family was watching in terror. Why is this very similar to why a lot of you are here? Because you don't know what you don't know. And that was a life-threatening experience, as cancer can be. And because of that, you get terrified. But if you can remain calm and trust that you can learn what you don't know, things will be different. Ty, all the other doctors, everybody who's here and bring this to you is giving you exactly that information, that you don't know what you don't know. So right now there's only a few parameters that we're concerned with, and I see apparently that I'm going to have to wing this. So you have to forgive me for this talk. It's going to be off the top, because I usually like slides to lead me. So there's a few things we have to be concerned with. And those things are really the parameters that control health. And what are they? Well, basically there's only three things. The raw materials that you bring in, one. The energy that you have to process the raw materials, two. And the condition of your equipment, which is what this slide is actually talking about. Hey, that would be good, but if I have to stand there, it's going to... Oh, just keep going. Basically, there's sheeple versus people. How many are sheeple? Because what is sheeple? Sheeple are making subconscious, subliminal propaganda decisions affected by advertising. How many of you actually think Coke tastes good? Okay, we're not talking the Peruvian stuff. I'm talking about the stuff in the can that you pull. It's Atlanta, right? They spend $3.5 billion a year. $3.5 billion a year here, so you think Coke is good. Versus, I'm not here to be liked. I'm not here to be liked. That's true. I'm here to give you information. So when you have to make a conscious logic decision, what's that really about? Next slide, please. So we're looking at parameters all wrong. We're affecting everything, and we're looking at it incorrectly. And how are we doing that? So because people don't consider health like they consider other things. They don't consider health like they consider money. So let's talk about your money. So, I remember the days when $1 million used to be something, but it's not now. So let's suppose you had $5 million. And you take your $5 million and you go to an investment banker. And you say, I'd like to invest this, please. And he goes, well, there's a 2.1% chance, and 2.3% if you live in Australia, that I'll still have your money in 5 years. Do you give him the money? So let's suppose you have cancer, and you're the sheeple, and you're panicked, and you don't know what you don't know. It's the bull, you don't know what, let it or you. What do you do? Do you go with a 2.1% survival rate, 5-year survival rate, and give him your life? No, but your money you wouldn't give him, but how many people do that? Next slide, please. How's that working for you? Wait, I'm down. How's that working for you? I was lucky enough to be lecturing at the Royal Society of Medicine in London, England. And Professor Elena Baranova was addressing the 110 doctors who were in the room, and she said, what percentage of disease is environmental versus genetic? What percentage is that? And 110 doctors in the room, this one Canadian doctor put up his hand and said, 75 to 90%. And she goes, this is a good answer. It's not correct. 85 to 96% of disease is environmental. So the light went on in many of the doctors. The light didn't go on with many of the doctors. And what was that light? Well, if 90 to 95% of disease is environmental, if that's your number, who's in control? It's the extent to which you can control your environment against oxidative stress, obesity, inflammation, alcohol, tobacco, diet, pharmaceuticals. We're not doing a good job. Now, this is just, let's get over some of what I've done. We can control the rate at which we age. Right about now, I get a chuckle for people who have great vision, but this is an aging population because these people are all 100. Glass of bourbon, cigarette in their hand. So the reality is, if we couldn't control it at birth, there would be a tattoo parlor right in the delivery room putting that date when you're going to expire. Hey, they have it on milk. They have it on orange juice. Why wouldn't they have it on you? Anyone have one of those? No one has one of those? All right. We're nothing more than physiological factories. It's what raw materials are you putting in? When patients used to say, Doc, I eat well. And I fought to control the chuckling. And you'll see why, because they don't have to label anything here. How's your energy supply? That's a mitochondria. We'll talk about that later. This is ATP. Making this is toxic, but not making this is deadly. We're a few meat eaters today, especially by that. They had a couple of pigs on a spit down there in the smoker. And of course, I've been a vegetarian for 30 years. And so I've only had a couple of threats from cattle ranchers. But man was meant to be vegetarian. The first meat that man found, because usually in that stage when man started with meat, man was the food, right? It's just when one accidentally died, they go, what's this? So this is a carnivore, real carnivore. This is in Zimbabwe. This picture was taken by my daughter. The teeth are different. Look at your teeth. Do you think you could take down anything living with your teeth? You have agrarian teeth. How about your claws? Do you think that you could take down your food with your claws? Well, I guess some can, but how about your stomachs? The fact is that A, our colons are far too long, and B, we're about 1,100% deficient in hydrochloric acid. So if you're worried about not eating meat and being too weak, the strongest animal pound for pound on this planet is not the former NFL lineman John Kolb, who could bench press 750 pounds. It's the lowland African gorilla who can do 4,000. So if you're worried about not living long enough or having a great memory, this is in Botswana. I think my daughter took this one too. See, they're really smart. I have to point this out. I know I'm going to run long, but elephants are so smart. See these? These are young male elephants. When they get rowdy, they're kicked out of the herd. I don't know if there's some learning curve that we could have there, but they're vegetarians too. So the reality is vegetarian men live 6 years longer, vegetarian women live 9 years longer. I'm not happy about the fact that there's a 3-year gap, but nothing I can do. So Hippocrates said, let food be thy medicine, let medicine be thy food, but we kind of forgot. We broke the food chain. For those of you who know Mike Adams, this is a great quote. I must now announce that the battle for humanity is nearly lost. The food supply appears to be intentionally designed to end human life rather than nourish it. So, how are things going here? Well, there's an 85% deficiency in the minerals. If you don't have minerals, nothing's working in your body. Between 1892 and 1992, 85% of the minerals are gone. Food chain used to kind of sort of look like this, then it turned into this crap chain. Can you say crap in Atlanta? Is that okay? Yeah, the crap chain, but it's really this chain. And what is this chain? It's GMO corn syrup. Uh-oh. We'll get to that in a little bit. Factory farming for your fish, which they feed GMO foods. Do you think girls are supposed to have breasts at the age of 9? Or do you think there could be some estrogen and steroids in the food chain? Well, I think that's probably correct. Down here, you see it's different. In most of the world, they can't grow their food 12 months a year. Rumor has it you do occasionally get cold here, but not today. And of course, Monsanto is your friend. Did I say that right? Smile, but Monsanto is your friend. Is that right? Is that good? So, we have the standard American cases. We have standard American diet, which leads to standard American disease, which leads to standard American deaths. That's sad, isn't it? That's sad. I think the Bible says about 120, and the standard American death age here, lifespan, is 78.1. So let's have a little experiment, shall we? If food worked, if food wasn't the source of everything, this is Gaussian normal distribution where it's about 67%, 67.5% between the curves, but I'm going to narrow that down. If food worked, would half the population, 50% of the population, would half of the population be healthy? Is that fair? Let's see how that goes. 324, 25 million before you get after the electoral stuff, the exodus to Canada. So, welcome. So, we have 235 million overweight or obese people out of 325 million. How are we doing? 60 million have seasonal allergies. 50 million suffer from hypertension. So, all of a sudden we have chronic disease in the neighborhood of 345 million. Oops. I think something's wrong. What do you think? Oh, let's go further. Because everyone's going to go, God, you know what? That's not really nutritional, is it? That's not nutrition. 45 million have chronic headaches. And men are going, yeah, mostly women. So let's get to the mostly women here. 44 million Americans have osteoporosis. Men, you can breathe easily, only 2 million men. Let's say the population divided evenly, about 160 by 160. So that's 42 million women. So is osteoporosis a calcium deficiency from the diet? Is it a calcium metabolism problem? Is it a calcium absorption problem? Do environmental factors? Which of these are the situation to bring about the 42 million women with osteoporosis. And the end for women with osteoporosis isn't nice. They have a slip and fall, late 70s, early 80s, fracture a hip, and gone, half of them are gone in 1 to 2 years. So let's eliminate all the women, quarter of the women under the age of 20, none of them have osteoporosis. So we have 120 million women. So 1 in 3 women have osteoporosis. Something's wrong. 40 million have heart disease, 40 million have arthritis, 30 million have seasonal allergies, 26 million are diabetics, and how many of you drive a car? Any of you drive a car? Okay, so you're in pre-accident status. Well, you pay insurance, right? You're in pre-accident status. Well, how else do we have 80 million people that are in pre-diabetic status? So that's a bet. So there's 1/3 of the U.S. population is either diabetic or pre-diabetic. Oops. Well, you know what? If you're not having type 1 diabetes, I can put you on a program where you're not going to really be afflicted adversely. If you happen to fall asleep from that position, you'll be the first one who ever fell asleep on me in the second row. Okay, so I'm just warning you, I'm one of those engaging, interactive speakers who may not be engaging, but I am interactive. 20 million have asthma, 15 million men have benign prostatic hypertrophy, 12 million have cancer, always. I think it's 13 now with 1.3 million new cases a year. 12 million have sleep apnea, 6.1 million have Alzheimer's disease, 2 million suffer from emphysema. How are we doing? How are we doing? Well, 75 million cases of H. pylori. Oops. And most of you don't even know what that is. It'll burrow through your stomach eventually if you don't get to it, and it's not good. 2 million cases of hospital-caused MRSA infection. 20,000 people die from the flu. 7 million cases of acid reflux, and infectious disease is doing really well, thank you. So we're around 800 million chronic diseases in a population of 325 million. How are we doing? Are we doing something wrong? You think it's possible we're doing something wrong? You think it's possible that a lot of our disease can be explained away that way? Well, it gets worse. It gets worse. Predictions are by 2020 there'll be a 57% increase in the incidence of cancer. Right now it's 50% of men will have it, 33% of women will have it, and that's going up. And it's just not pretty. Now they say that by 2020, 50% of the population will have diabetes or prediabetes. Well, we could tell that with the obesity numbers that are going up. But it's global. It's not just here. You know why? Refined sugar. Between 1/3 and 1/2 pound of sugar is consumed by the average American every day. Oops, I eat okay. How about infection? Epstein-Barr virus. Some of you may know it from mononucleosis. If you're old enough, you remember that, mononucleosis. It's a kissing disease, and the guys are going, I got lucky, I made out with her, and the women are going, why did I kiss that guy? However, breast cancer, 95% of the population linked to breast cancer, prostate cancer, nasopharyngeal cancers. So there's a relationship, isn't there? Well, apparently, the relationship between infection is almost 18%. Infection and cancer, almost 18%. Something should be going off like immune system failure. Autoimmune diseases. I remember, I am so old. I've been in anti-aging medicine for a long time. I am so old that I remember when you talked about autoimmune diseases, you were talking about type 1 diabetes or rheumatoid arthritis. I think there's around 129, 133 autoimmune diseases. We used to see people go bald, but now you're seeing young people with patches of alopecia areata. This is ankylosing spondylitis. Have you ever seen someone with ankylosing spondylitis? By the age of 40, and by the way, this is a lot with osteoporosis, looks a lot like that. But ankylosing spondylitis is, they move like this because everything starts to fuse. It's your body attacking your body because it's making a mistake. And it's making a mistake, 90 to 95% of it is due to environmental factors. 1.2 billion. Didn't change the slide fast enough. Over 300 million are obese. There's about 120 125, that's just 42%. Yeah. Most of them are here. North America. But it's not just North America. And it's not just things you don't realize. You know there's a relationship between obesity and cancer? Didn't realize that, did you? We know there's just social problems, and there's getting to be almost not social problems. It's getting to be no stigmas anymore. I mean, it's costing you a lot of money here. This should be criminal. You know how old this kid is? Not 6 yet. Know what he weighs? Over 200 pounds. So, I have to digress. So, every once in a while, how many of you know who Honey Boo Boo is? Okay, how many of you are lying and actually know about it but won't say anything? Okay, so if you've seen that show, you're really wondering, are they making them playing down so they appear that something's really wrong there, and this cell line shouldn't continue. So when we have a situation where someone says, well, I'm fat because my mother's fat, it's genetic. No, here's the reality. You're fat, and your mother's fat, and she trained you to eat. Oh, environmental, ding, let's put it there. So here's what they've done to make it look better. 25% in 1950 were overweight or obese. Let's just jump down to 2010 where 68% were overweight or obese. But what did they do? Before it used to be a body mass index of 25, and not the body mass index is good, but it's something to go on. They made it 30. And in 2012, it was out of control. The snowball was over the top of the hill. You don't have snowballs here, but that's a good story for those of us who live up north. And you couldn't control it. So they raised the BMI rating for obesity to 32. And here it is. 23% of all cancers are related to obesity. 41% as of 2015. I took this picture at a lecture in Kentucky. A lot of similarities, isn't there? One of the fellows was sitting with me in a restaurant who said, "That's your slide. I just saw that. That was your slide." It's out of control. And it's not just here. It's because we've destroyed the food chain and we've destroyed it globally. And we have enough threats: poor diets, poor quality air, insufficient cellular hydration, pathogens, electromagnetic radiation, GMOs. Oh, aren't they your friend? I remember saying that they were your friend. No food shall be grown that we don't own. Death of the food chain. Well, for those of you that don't know much about GMOs, Gilles Seralini, Monsanto tried to get him fired when he published a paper that showed 50% of all males, 70% of females eating GMO corn had a premature death. 200 to 300% increase in tumors. We have liver cancer, liver issues, liver function, kidney cancer, kidney issues, kidney function. So Monsanto had that paper pulled. Monsanto had that paper pulled back, and they tried to have him fired. But you see, he kept good records. And these are the mice. So nothing happened to GMO foods here. The revolution is starting now. Irina Ermakova, Russian Academy of Natural Science, she decided to look at GMO soya with rats. So the GMO soy seems to shrink testicles 50%. And she already gave the caveat, you know, that we're going to have some problems, we're going to have some issues with that because it's going to affect men. It's going to affect birth rates. It's going to affect everything. So did Putin, you know, did he fire her? Did he remove her from office? Vladimir Putin banned GMO foods in Russia. So poor nutrition has been linked to major chronic diseases, immune system dysfunction. There's problem. It's global. Is this the answer? Extracts and isolates don't work. RDAs and RIAs don't work. Harvard Medical School says they don't work. So if you're taking a vitamin pill, right? Brian Clement, Hippocrates Institute in Florida, he wrote in his book, that one of his friends owned one of these companies, portable toilets, and they were cleaning it out one day. Isn't that good news to know they clean it out? And his friends went down, his workers went down, and they said, there's pink pellets and yellow pellets and orange pellets, and they say Centrum and one a day and Kirkland. And so they don't really get there because they have to coat them in with an excipient. Oh, and there they are. Descending colon, sigmoid colon, next stop, toilet. And I understand because it's just business, right? You got to put a coating on them. If you bought, one a days, not using a brand name, but one to take every day, and you open up the jar and it's all powder, well, what do you think? You're going to give it back because you want something you can take every day. Oops. What about Whole Foods? Whole Foods, if they're not GMO, will give you 90 to 95% of whatever they have in them. They will deliver. So the body has an energy crisis going on, and when it runs out of energy, functions cease. So nutrient digestion, primary function. Why? You put a bolus of food in your body. The body is survival, right? It's survival. Whatever's the most immediate threat is the problem to deal with. Not something that's going to get you and kill you in 10 years. What's going to kill you tomorrow or today? So, nutrient digestion, bingo. Let's get rid of that bolus that's forming in your stomach. If any of you have ever left some meat or food out on the counter, gone away for a few days, came back and seen what it looked like, it's not pretty. And then, of course, there's nutrient assimilation. Because if your body still has the energy, it's going to use those nutrients. Then, of course, it's detoxification, but that fights with tissue regeneration. So how many of you know some people who heal faster than others? Everybody knows someone who heals faster than others. And that's because of levels of toxicity. And actually, we can regrow parts. And you can see it in literature. Fingers, thumbs, things of that nature. So environmental carcinogens cause 41% of all cancers. These are the toxins that are building in your body that we have to get out. I'm going to talk about nutrition. I'm going to talk about one plant. I'm talking about any plant. I'm picking this plant because it's the most phytonutrient-dense plant. 5,000 years old, no one's heard of it. So it has 46 antioxidants, 36 anti-inflammatories. You don't have to take pills. Omega-3, 6, and 9, all 20 amino acids. Over 500 verifiable positive effects. Thousands of studies. Don't care. Everyone loves it. Don't care. What do I care about? When you put it in your body. Everybody thinks this is going to change the nutritional face of the planet. And what do I care about? Nature's medicine cabinet. Pharmacological action or pharmaceutical application. Because what did Hippocrates say? Let food be thy medicine. Let medicine be thy food. High medicinal value. Bam. Protein, vitamins, beta-carotene, amino acids, various phenolics. And you did not have to open up this bottle, open up this bottle, open up this bottle. It's a plant. So if you could find the right plants, you can get the right nutrition. These are the seeds from that plant, antibacterial, antiviral, antifungal. This is what it does. This would give the FDA a fit. But this is from a paper from 2011 called Palo. And this is what that plant does. So biofeedback with heart rate variability. These are meridians. The yellow ones are out. The green ones are in. So someone ate the plant, an hour later, this is what happened. It went back in. I'm scaring them away now. Maybe I should go faster, scare them more away, and just talk to the few that remain. So, an adaptogen. How many of you heard of ginseng? Most of you, right? An adaptogen is a plant that goes into your body. And when you put that plant in your body, what happens is values normalize. Physiological values normalize. And this is Breckman and Dardamoff, and they were working out of Siberia, and they worked with Siberian ginseng. And now, many plants do that. We've all heard of maca. Most of you have heard of maca? A few have heard of maca? So there's a number of plants that do that. Well, moringa is the top one. I mean, in traditional Chinese medicine, reishi mushroom, ling shi, that's an adaptogen. This is far superior. I want to talk about mitochondria because this is the energy sources in your body, right? No one talks mitochondria. So, what do? Well, they create energy. When they create energy, they use glucose, right? And when you hear people talking cancer, they talk glucose. So when they use glucose, they convert it to energy, ATP. which your body uses. When they do that, they create free radicals, reactive oxygen species. And that is damaging to both the mitochondria and the cell. So, as you get older, we get less of them. As you get older, if you don't have the right diet, they start to be less efficient. So what happens? As they get less efficient, they take the glucose and they only make 70 or 80% of it into ATP. So one, you have less energy and more serum glucose. More serum glucose leads to what? Diabetes, leads to feeding cancers. Because, past the age of 40, there's 10,000 cancer cells a day your body's making, and we're trying to kill them out. It's, what's that game at the fairs? You gotta, gopher pops up, whack a gopher, that's what you have to do. And as long as your immune system can do it, you're good. So, these are just the phytonutrients that are in Moringa oleifera. So, zinc, no one hears about zinc. No one talks about zinc. Zinc is extremely important. As a matter of fact, Viagra is zinc and arginine. But reproductive organs, immune system, so when there's no zinc in your diet, when you don't have a way to get zinc in your diet, we run into issues. As you get older, you get less. What a surprise. So, find a plant that has zinc. Antioxidants. We talked about the effects in the mitochondria. If you can get polyphenols and antioxidants to the mitochondria, they function better, they don't die off. So what do they really do? And this is where aging starts to begin. One, when you have a lot of free radicals in your body, no antioxidants in your diet, what happens is cell walls lose an electron. And they're just amino acid, bond, peptide bond. You pluck off an electron. Suddenly we lyse a cell, we erode the cell membrane, and everything in that cell comes out creating inflammation. We'll discuss that in a second. But as we mutate with DNA, as we make a cell, every 7 years, maximum, every cell in your body is going to reproduce. One daughter cell functional, we're getting a little flaky here, whoops. So by the time you're 40, we're doing 10,000 of these a day. So these are actual chromosomes. That's a telomere. Every time this cell divides, these get shorter and shorter and shorter, until eventually they get so short, they can't divide anymore. So what happens then? Well, we call it cellular death. We call it aging. So the reality is, the more antioxidants in your body, it protects something called telomerase. Telomerase protects telomeres. These are the antioxidants in that plant. Now, there's lots of great plants. I've just picked one because I couldn't talk about all of them in the 45 minutes they gave me, and I'm running long anyway. So this is just the ORAC values. Amino acids. If there's no amino acids, I'm a vegetarian, so one thing I'm looking for specifically is iron, B12, amino acids. Have to do it because amino acids are everything in your body is an amino acid. Everything your body makes, it's used in. These are the amino acids in that plant. Chronic inflammation. Chronic inflammation may, in fact, be the cause of most diseases. As a matter of fact, it may be the key to unlocking cancer. So what happens when your diet contains natural anti-inflammatory phytonutrients? Nobody considers that. Nobody ever considers that. Omega-3 fatty acids. Little story here. Back to the SAD, Standard American Diet. So the Standard American Diet, there's a proper ratio for omega-3 to omega-6. Omega-3 is anti-inflammatory, also protects telomeres. And omega-6 is inflammatory. So the ratio should be 1 to 1 or 1 to 2. What do you think the ratio is in a Standard American Diet? Omega-3 to omega-6. 1 to 20. 1 to 20. So you're living an inflammatory lifestyle. You're getting inflammatory diseases. This is the issue here. And omega-3 fatty acid, look at the things that when you have enough don't exist. You got good blood clotting, less obesity, less cancer cell growth, less serum glucose, less depression, less arterial thickening, less serum lipids. So now when we examine what do you see in a standard doctor's office, that's what you're seeing. So there's about 100,000 deaths a year. Deaths! 100,000 deaths a year from omega-3 deficiency. Scary, isn't it? Obesity is also related to leptin release. Leptin, when your hypothalamus understands leptin, you actually can stop eating instead of continuing eating and going past it. So this is a study by Ohio State University, and what they found is omega-3 fatty acids actually lengthen telomeres, which means you get another cell replication. I think we've got something going on here. Is depression an issue in this country? So I'll tell you a little story here. So I was in Iguazu Falls on the border between Brazil and Argentina with my wife. And we were walking. It was pretty hot. Do you want it in Fahrenheit or Celsius? Fahrenheit, 4 million, I think. It was 4 million degrees. And I'm walking with a backpack. And there's two miles of waterfalls. And when waterfalls hit, you get a precursor, you get negative ions that are precursors to help you make serotonin. It's like the happy hormone, right? So it's 4 million degrees, I think that's Fahrenheit, 8 billion Celsius, maybe the numbers are different. And I'm sitting there, I got this grin on my face because I can't stop smiling, right? And that's because of serotonin. So serotonin, everyone thinks, well, that's a hormone. That's in your head. Depression's in your head, isn't it? No, it's 95% in your gut, right? So eat plants. Be happy. So here we go again. Osteoporosis. So how do you think that medical approach is working to osteoporosis? How do you think that's working? Not so well. 1 out of 3 women have it. So why not eat a plant that's rich in calcium, magnesium, and vitamin D, or take vitamin D? You have a better shot than taking, the 1,500 milligrams of calcium and some magnesium and vitamin. It's not working. This will be shocking to you, people who have Moringa, notice these: awareness, energy, decreased joint pain. And it's a plant. And there's lots of plants that do it. A lot of people talking about turmeric. Potent anti-inflammatory, potent anti-cancer. So this is what really got me going, being a vegetarian. This is kwashiorkor. This is protein malnutrition. So when I read the paper on Moringa, and that paper said that kwashiorkor, protein malnutrition, 3 teaspoons a day for 20 days of the dried leaves was 80% effective in getting rid of kwashiorkor, and understanding that in sub-Saharan Africa, 1 out of every 5 children dies before the age of 5, I said, you know what? This is worth investigating, and that started me writing my first book on Moringa. Some people don't like live blood. I like live blood. This is before. This is 45 minutes after. And I published a paper on this because, you know what, just so this, oh, that's a random case. No, it's not. Now, this is me in the morning before my Moringa. But after my Moringa, my fasting serum glucose is down by 26%, LDL cholesterol down by 50%, triglycerides by 75%, carotid artery plaquing by 97%. So let's think about this. So if you're going to have a stroke that's going to debilitate or kill you, it's going to come from your carotid artery. Carotid artery plaquing down by 97%. Inflammation down by 800%. It's just a plant. It's not a drug. It's a plant. So if you can do these things to your body with a plant and bolster your immune system with a plant, and we're dealing with other issues with a plant, oh, there's side effects. You know how it goes, right? There's side effects. Okay, we talked about that. So they gave some mice liver cancer. They gave those same mice extracts of Moringa oleifera. They must not have been very good at their clinical work because they couldn't find the cancer. It went away. They gave some mice colon cancer. They gave some mice Moringa oleifera. And once again, it went away. Did it go away? Or did it enable the body to kill it? Because you see, that's what we really want to do. We want to diminish the elements in your body that are toxic. We want to diminish the elements in your body that will slow down or gum up the works. What we really want to do is turn you into a killing machine. So let's understand a few things. Cellular membrane. Nutrients in, toxins out. Does any of you realize that you're being bathed in, right now, electromagnetic radiation? Now people say, well, it hardens the membrane. No, it doesn't harden the membrane. What it does is changes the physiology of the cell. In changing the physiology of the cell, it's more difficult to detoxify, more difficult to get the nutrition in, and therefore more difficult for the immune system to function. Oops. So let's talk about delivery vehicles. I'm sure back in the 1860s, the Pony Express was pretty good because there was no other way to get mail. And now, well, you can get anything by drone almost. I want one that delivers me, though, so I don't have to stay in that highway from the Atlanta airport to get here for 2.5 hours. So I want that drone. So let's talk about delivery vehicles. So what happens when there's a delivery vehicle that can take nutrition and put it right into the cell? Was that a sonic boom? And allow your body to have increased nutrition in 1/3 of the time and decrease toxins. Well, it exists. There's some Russian technology that does it. Dr. Igor Smirnov, okay, so this is maybe a little more of a typical Russian case. So they sent a group, when Chernobyl blew up 1986, some of you were around then. So they sent a group to find out, in the middle of the 3 million cases of cancer after Chernobyl blew up, why this group didn't have cancer. Delivery vehicle, didn't have a drone. The water coming down the Caucasus Mountains was different. It wasn't isotetrahedral, it was linear. And there's something called aquaporins, and aquaporins are openings in the cell membrane. And it seems that when this water was there, it was in sheets. So Dr. Igor Smirnov figured out a way to reproduce that so we can access an aquaporin. This is important enough that in 2003 they gave the Nobel Prize to Dr. Peter Agri of Johns Hopkins, okay, for discovering aquaporins. So we've got the way into the cell if we live in the Caucasus Mountains. Fortunately, Dr. Igor Smirnov figured out a way to reproduce that water. Now, they're only one water molecule wide. So in other words, clump of 5 together, isotetrahedral pyramidal, can't go through it. So sheets are beautiful. Do others bounce off? Sure, but a lot goes in. We did some studies, and it's 1/3 of the time, and it's super hydrating. This was actually the study, and this was the most amazing thing. If you drank a 1/2 liter, you're okay with 1/2 liter? I don't have to go to quarts, do I? We can almost switch. They're pretty close, 32 ounces versus 35 ounces. 1.2 liters went into your cells. So not only did it take all that water in 1/3 of the time, it actually pulled extracellular water in. Isn't that, when you move extracellular water intracellularly, isn't that anti-inflammatory? Oh, but I digress. So, did a little study. CD4 cells. Let's get to cancer here. So CD4 cells, CD8 cells, they actually kill things in your body. You want them high. So there was a little study with AIDS and HIV. And so the people were taking their ARV medication. They were taking this water. And in 36 of 38 cases, viral load went below 50. CD4s went above 800. So I suggested, let's do the experiment, but let's use an actual control group, because they didn't use a control group. So in the first month, 2 of the subjects in the control group died. We stopped the experiment just from the water. So do super hydrated cells function better for immune response? Absolutely. So 512 mice were given Ehrlich sarcoma. Most on the left has a tumor. Most on the right does not. So in the mice that were drinking this water, and understand it's not the water doing it, it's what it does to the body, turning you into a killer. 512 mice. So the group that got the water 3 weeks before, the tumors didn't take. As a matter of fact, 76% reduction. Is that an okay number? And the ones that got the water right when they got the tumor, 55%. So that's just giving them water, allowing the body to fight. Emirate activated water. So what would a preventive protocol look like? Let's quickly get over it because I heard the gong. Okay, so plant-based diet for nutrition, enhanced delivery vehicle, immune system immunomodulation, we got that all covered. Antipathogenic support, we got that covered. Some of you have seen Robert Scott Bell out there. That silver, colloidal silver, is the best. Enzymatic support to enhance metabolism, digestive enzymes so you don't have to steal because you're eating cooked food. And dedifferentiation revealed when you're taking enzymes, because a lot of tumors pull fibrin sheaths over them. They pull the fibrin sheaths over themselves and they hide from the immune system, which is already weakened. So we talked about silver, Staph aureus. You certainly heard me talk about 103,000 who died, 2 million get it, they go into hospitals. This is Staph aureus, MRSA infection, right? Some of you have heard of it. This is what happens when silver gets to it. Bam! So, destroyed. We want things that kill pathogens because it allows your immune system to function a little better. So, you don't know what you don't know, but if you keep talking about it, the world will eventually figure it out. Thank you!